Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm doing a little bit of filming in the dark right now, so I do apologize if that's bothersome to you, but I have this cute look on. I don't want to waste it. I have to get these intros filmed really quick, and it's nighttime out. So, I don't really have many options. I included some lights on in here so you guys can see the enclosures a bit, and I have the ring light on, so hopefully that's good enough. I apologize. Again, this is not going to be a normal thing. In today's video, I want to introduce you guys to my bearded dragons, Franklin and Nova. I recently did a meet my leopard geckos, meet my crested geckos, and meet my African fat-tailed geckos. I just cracked my finger as I was counting. But I also wanted to make a meet all my bearded dragons video. That way I could show off my bearded dragons and their enclosures and continue on with this series of introducing different species of animals that I keep and their backstories. So I'm also going to do like a meet all my skinks and that sort of thing. So if you're interested, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, please consider liking, leaving a comment, and checking us out on Patreon or becoming a channel member, both of which are very helpful, and I appreciate those who are and who are considering. Now let's go ahead and get started with the Meet My Bearded Dragons. I had a spare 75-gallon aquarium open due to getting out of keeping fish, and I decided I wanted to get a bearded dragon to fill the space. That's how I met Franklin. I saw the 5-month-old leatherback donor bearded dragon for rehoming on Craigslist in August of 2014 and welcomed him home on September 1st of 2014. He was my second reptile after Ree, my crested gecko, who I welcomed home 3 months prior. Franklin came from a man who cared about him but was getting out of keeping reptiles. He welcomed me into his home to see how he was keeping Franklin and rehomed him with a bunch of supplies like a dome, a mercury vapor bulb, tile for the floor of the enclosure, a dubia roach colony, a temperature gun, calcium, and so many things that beginners often don't think to have, so I'm super grateful for that. Even as a juvenile bearded dragon, Franklin never lived in anything smaller than a 75-gallon, and he's currently living in a 4x2x2, which I think is 180 gallons. I can't remember the exact gallon measurements, but you'll see the enclosure later on at the end. The rest is history. Franklin and I have been friends for over 7 years. He has always been an easygoing dragon, never hard to handle, always down to chill on a lap in the sunshine. He's a great eater. I love introducing people to him because he's just such a great ambassador reptile. If I were to do any sort of program, Franklin would be the one, because he's just so chill, and I think everyone can feel safer and calmer around him because he's not a real flighty reptile. I do have some unfortunate news about Franklin, though. Toward the end of 2020, he started having some health issues. After a blood test, an exam, and a fecal, he was treated with antibiotics as a suspected flare-up of gastrointestinal illness caused by a possible tumor. And what led us to think he had a tumor is because when his blood was taken, his glucose levels were higher than we would want them to be. The issue arose again a few months into 2021, and after another blood test, a fecal, an exam, and a barium test, which is where Franklin swallowed barium and then x-rays were taken as the barium moved through his GI tract, he was diagnosed with a gastrointestinal tumor. Franklin lost weight when he was on antibiotics, but I'm happy to say that he's gained it back and he's still a really good eater. He has certainly slowed down, but he's also nearly 8 years old, so I'm not sure if that's because of the tumor or because he's older. He's just an old guy. He don't want to be running around as much. But as you can see, he's still very happy about his food. I'm not sure how long I will have Franklin, but I appreciate all the time that I can get with him. It's been almost a year since his diagnosis, and I hope he has a few left in him to munch all the greens and dubia roaches that his heart desires. One last thing I want to talk about Franklin is his eyeballs. It's a question I get all the time. Why are his eyes so big? Simply put, it comes down to bad genetics. Be sure when you are buying a beardie from a breeder that you are familiar with what to look out for when it comes to genetic factors. Fortunately, Franklin was a rehome, and his eyes don't cause him any issues, but there are other things caused by bad genetics, and that's something to really keep in mind. A great resource for bearded dragons that have disabilities, especially ones that are related to genetics or neglect, is S.W. Sutherland's. I'll include her down below. And this is Franklin's enclosure. Franklin is in a 4x2x2 Zen Habitats enclosure. I'll leave a link for Zen Habitats down below. I have had Franklin and Nova in these enclosures for over 1.5 years now, and I really, really like them. But Franklin has half tile and half substrate just due to his gastrointestinal issues. And if you want to know more about their enclosures, I will leave full-length videos down below because this is going to be just more meet them, you know what I mean? I was originally hesitant about getting another bearded dragon because I felt like none of them could top the love that I have for Franklin, but I always wanted a zero morph, but I never wanted to get one from a breeder because I like situations of rescue, rehoming, and adoption. And so when I saw Nova for rehoming on Craigslist in August of 2018, I just had to have her. Nova's former owner was moving out of state and couldn't take her with, but Nova was well cared for and living in a 4x2x2 with proper husbandry. Now I want to tell you the story about how Nova pretty much scared the life out of me the first 30 seconds that I had her, and yes, that is Nova inside of the dash of a car. Let me tell you that story. So I made the trip to Chicago with my ex-fiance, and as soon as I brought her in the car, she jumped off my lap and scurried across the floor into the dash of the car. I have no idea how she did it. I thought, I've seen tons of people have their bearded dragons out in the car, and they were so chill. How have I never heard of this happening? And why is it happening to me? Go figure, it happened to me. So we got off the road and we listened for her climbing around inside the dash, and sure enough, she managed to go from the floor to the top of the dash and stuck her head out. We could see her, and then when we would try to get her, she would scurry away. So we had to drive home like that because there were no car places open because it was the weekend. And even when we got home, there was nothing open. So my superbly awesome savior of the day, ex-fiance, had to take apart the dash to get her out. And when he did, she was mad as heck. Like, she was so angry and spent the next week super angry whenever she saw us. Since then, Nova has become a chill lady, unless you take her outside, and then she becomes a demogorgon. But I was wrong to think I wouldn't love her as much as Franklin. She is smart, fast, willful in comparison to Franklin's chill nature, and I love her for it. It's such a good juxtaposition because they're two such different bearded dragons. In November of 2019, I took Nova and Franklin in for a checkup at the vet, mostly because Nova was doing this weird thing where she kept her mouth slightly open at all times. The vet took a look at her gums and thought they looked irritated, but we couldn't figure out why since her care was exactly the same as Franklin's and his were fine. I was told to take a diluted chlorhexidine on a Q-tip and rub it along her gums, and the issue went away. She hasn't had a problem since. Nova went a bit viral on TikTok in 2021 when she ran into the house after my ex lifted the playpen from around her instead of lifting her out of the playpen. And now she's a total diva, and I have to address her as queen because I'm a peasant beneath her, and the only reason I went viral on TikTok is because of her. I'm just kidding. I do that because she actually is a queen. Nova is 4 years old, soon to be 5, and like I mentioned earlier, I'm so happy that I decided to get another bearded dragon. I really wasn't certain if I would love her as much as Franklin, or if I could love her as much, or if she was going to be as cool as Franklin. And it turns out I was wrong to think any of those things because both Franklin and Nova are such incredible reptiles, and I'm so happy to have them. And now let's take a look at Nova's enclosure, which is, just like Franklin's, a 4x2x2 Zen Habitats enclosure. Again, a link for that is down below. And again, I will include a link to a more in-depth video about their enclosures down below and on screen. But I really love their habitats. I really love them. And I'm so happy to have them both in my life. And in case anyone's wondering about their care, I will leave a full-length care guide down below as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed meeting my bearded dragons, Nova and Franklin. They are such good, lovely creatures. That was a white street frog. I hope you enjoyed the video nonetheless. Please consider giving a like, subscribe, notification bell, all that stuff. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.